Caro joins me now on set.
Hello, Shana.
Let's start with the markets that are back in trading after their New Year's break.
Yeah, we'll start here in Europe. It's back to business. As you say, January 2nd, start of a new year in the markets, and actually a positive start here in Europe. All of the main markets opening up in the green. The DAX in Germany, as you can see, leading the gains there, up almost 0.5%. Not such an optimistic picture over in Asia, though. The Tokyo index, the Nikkei, remaining closed after the New Year holiday. Data about China's manufacturing sector pushing the Shanghai Composite into the red. That disappointing investors. Over in South Korea, the Kospi down over 2%. This after the rising value of the yen against the dollar hit exporters, making, of course, their exports more expensive. That hit shares. Samsung and Hyundai among the worst hit, and they make up some 20% of the Kospi. So that's what's left the Kospi so far in the red.
Now here in France, new figures show that the car industry may finally be coming back alive.
Yeah, after many years of falls in the sales of new cars rose by 9.4% in December, up on the previous year. This after a fall for the year of 2013 of 5.3%. Now, there were also consecutive falls from 2010, 2011 and 2012. In 2012, sales fell by 14%. So this really is an improvement that we're seeing these December figures on the way up. The French companies doing particularly well. They, of course, are the large majority of the market here in France. Peugeot, Citroën up 10.6% in December, their sales figures, while Renault was up by almost 40%. So good news for French car manufacturers at long last.
All right, well, staying with the motor industry, there's good news for Fiat.
Yes, the Italian car maker is to buy out Chrysler, the American car maker, for $3.75 billion. Fiat is buying the 41% of the company it doesn't already own. It's purchasing the stake from a auto workers' healthcare trust fund, which had owned it. The deal brings to an end a long-running dispute with the fund, which had at one stage threatened to float its shares on the stock market, but those shares now being sold to Fiat.
Now here in France, a new raft of tax hikes came into force on January 1st, but President Hollande is also trying to help companies to hire more workers with a new pact.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier with Flo in the papers. François Hollande's New Year's address promised to lower the social insurance charges levied on companies to make them hire new workers. The business lobby MEDEF has said it's ready to put the measures in place quickly when they get to the details of them. François Hollande is to meet the social partners in the coming days to discuss the matter. But this as an increase in the value-added tax, or VAT, on goods and services comes into force in France. Since January 1st, the rate that applies to eating out, train tickets and services including plumbers and electricians increased from 7 to 10%. The standard rate of VAT also went up by 0.4%, as you can see. Now, this is a tax, of course, that affects all consumers, no matter how much or how little they earn, so it does hit people quite hard. The reduced rate of VAT, that's what applies to food, remains at 5.5%.
Now to Latvia next, where people have been getting familiar with the euro.
Yeah, yet another currency change for Latvia. It's third in just over 20 years. In fact, Latvia became the 18th country to join the Eurozone on Wednesday. The country had the highest economic growth in Europe last year at 4%. And while the government says joining the euro is good for the economy, there are still many concerns, particularly over inflation that the euro might bring. Kate Moody has the story.
Turning in lats and walking away with euros. Latvians have begun a 2-week transition period after their country became the 18th member of the Eurozone on January 1st. Opinion polls suggest at least half the population opposes the step, with many worried about inflation, being charged European prices while receiving their Latvian salaries.
The overall impact on inflation on consumer prices is quite minor. It's in the range of 0.2, 0.4 percentage points.
The former Soviet Republic saw its GDP shrink by a fifth during the global financial crisis of 2008 and 9. But following a program of strict austerity, it emerged to become Europe's fastest growing economy, with a growth rate of 4.5% in the third quarter. The government insists it will stay on that path and not be drawn into the euro crisis.
Euro as a currency is doing just fine. Euro's share as a global reserve currency is stable. Around a quarter of global reserves are being held in euros. So from that point of view, there is no practical reasons for Latvia not to join Eurozone.
The currency changeover, though quick, is expected to go smoothly. The euro marks Latvia's fourth currency in just 22 years.
Finally, an end-of-the-year boom for mobile operators as the French traditionally send their New Year's greetings by text.
Yes, according to preliminary figures, 1 billion text and picture messages were sent here in France between New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Of those, 360 million were sent between 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. Interestingly, more people this year chose to send multimedia messages, New Year's selfies, perhaps. I didn't send you any, Shona. I didn't get any from you either, though. But text messages figures have remained stagnant. People are moving more towards sending multimedia messages.
What a cheeky way to say that on air. Thank you very much, Stephen Carroll, and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
That was the Business News with Stephen Carroll. Now it's time for the international press with Florence Villamino.
Hi, Jenna.